So I'm doing a little bit of postseason scouting. Had to drive probably a good 30 minutes. It's in a good area, which I'm hunting. This is Michigan, so this is a highly pressured state. It's hard to find good public land, but this spot I was interested in just because I know the surrounding areas are good. I've seen big bucks that have been killed on properties, you know, a mile or two from here, and I know there's giant bucks in this area. So it looks like the DNR comes in here and they plant corn, because there was a standing cornfield back up in here, and then they also plant beans because there was a cut bean field, and there was two other fields that I couldn't tell. But in general, it looks like there's a lot of food in this piece. And the other thing, I don't know if you can tell, but like this is just crazy thick. And I like that because in Michigan, when you get a lot of pressure, it's easy for a lot of these public places to get pressured and have everything just get pushed out, because there's not enough cover for the deer to be able to feel secure and skirt around hunters and stuff like that. Also keeps hunters from getting back into some of these areas. So for instance, this trail I'm walking on right here kind of just goes down to these fields, skirts along the edges of them. So by looking at a map on this piece, I can negate out probably 50 to 60% of this entire property, because I know where all the pressure is going to be. I know where all the people are going to be walking, and it's going to be right down this trail. There'll be probably a lot of people, you know, sitting in stands kind of up along the edges, and you know, they might go back into the timber maybe if, you know, 30, 40 yards and sit. There's not going to be as much pressure further back into these thickets, just because it's next to impossible to get back there. But that's where I'm going, because I got to find out where these deer are bedding. So right here we've got a cut bean field, and it's big enough to be attractive to the deer and also be attractive to hunters. One of the biggest reasons I love fields inside of public land is because they attract hunters. The guys are going to come in here and they're going to see all this stuff, and it makes it really easy to want to hunt on these fields, to hunt the edges of them. And that's where most all the human tracks that I'm seeing are, where I'm guessing most of the pressure is going to be. This is the main walking trail here, and a good sign is always when you're on the main trail with all the pressure that you're seeing stuff like this, you know, deer tracks. Again, trails coming here, and we got ourselves pretty decently. I mean, that's not a bad rub right there. There's one, two, there's a few trees that are all ripped up right here. Deer trail here that converge down. It's got enough on it that you can see what's going on. Like, look at all this stuff. Like, here's a creek crossing. I mean, that's a lot of tracks, and there's some big tracks. I mean, that's a mature buck. That's a good sized deer. Heavy trail right here. So I'll probably go ahead and follow this one. Eventually these trails all tapered down and came out into this clear cut, kind of like I was expecting them to. I mean, you can tell it's matted down a little bit right now, but I'm just looking, and there's trails and flat spots everywhere. So I'm just gonna walk it, see if I can find any more good buck sign. But I really want to get up against the private line, which is down here, and I want to get up in the pocket towards the houses, because I feel like that's where Big Buck's gonna bed. He's gonna want to bed where he can smell, and then he's got something to his back keeping him safe, and he's in a very advantageous position. The trail, the people that walk in, comes right down here, so I'm just looking for that spot. This is just a giant thicket, just briars, grass, and trees. And these deer trails kind of funnel down this way towards private. It looks like a lot of the tracks are coming from the private direction. But now I'm here kind of up against the edge of the public, and it's kind of the highest point of the property. And there's a big rub over there in that little cluster of trees. And there's like this little knoll up here. And there's a bunch of trees that come off down the side of it. In my opinion, this is one of the best spots for a big buck to live in bed. So far, I have not visibly bumped a deer, which is kind of frustrating. Here's some deer tracks here, right here. It's an older, bigger set. I'm just gonna walk up here and see what I see. This field up here looks like it's Milo. I'm seeing a lot of big prints, but they look old. This is a really great spot for a buck to bed. Okay, I got 2 feet on the inside of this little draw. This is made from a big buck. I don't know if you can tell how high up this is, but it's about up to my chest. And he tore up that. I mean, like, that's a big buck. It's just so thick. It's insane. Where did he get out here? I see another tinked up cedar down there. It's just so thick. Like, it boggles my mind how a buck that size even gets in here. How does he get his antlers around? Am I like on top of the bed and I just don't know it? So there's a lot of big rubs in one tiny spot. A lot of crap in here, a lot of big rubs. Trying to get my head around where he would bed. It'd make more sense if he bed on the edge of this stuff. Maybe he'd be down here with his back to all that thick stuff, because you can't walk through it. Like, there's no deer trails really down there. There's those giant rubs, but maybe he just comes in here, walks in, beds with his back to that thick stuff. Right now the wind is coming at my back down into this. So if he were to bed, he could bed up facing down into this draw, wind coming over his back over top of this ridge, which is what they like to do in general. I mean, there's a bed, there's crap, there's bed. I mean, there's beds all up in this. There's crap beat into. There's a big bed. I mean, like, this is big enough for me to lay down in. Definitely a big buck that was bedding in here. Just piles and piles of crap everywhere. I kind of just backed up into the timber probably 50 yards, 60 yards, and spotted a tree stand. Somebody was definitely hunting it this year. Looking in this timber, I don't see a ton of rubs. He stole my idea. He took his bottom stick out. A big buck that's bedding on the edge of this finger of trees. But he's not coming from public access side. He's coming from the private line, which is here. You got this field right here of Milo behind it. And so he's walking down, probably coming through the Milo, cutting the corner, and then slipping in here with a south wind, bedding on the downside of this ridge with the wind coming over his back down into that gully, and he's looking down there. There's that stand down there, but the stand's probably 70 yards from where he's bedding. He can't really see the guy's stand from where he's laying. There's no deer sign going down into that gully farther, so it doesn't look like they really want to go down there. They just bed here for safety, and then they slip out that way. When you're looking at public spots, the key thing about that bed is it's facing the public access parking lot. So guys that are coming in, like, they can hear them. If they come through those woods towards those beds, they can see them. And you can't just sneak up through here because they'll smell you and take off. So it's a really good spot for them. Walking down the edge of this grass field or milo or whatever it is, and this is a ridiculously thick trail, like stupid. It's like a jungle in there. Ain't nobody walking through there, but that's where the trail's going. I know I'm on the right track as far as the trail the bucks are taking, because there's 2 trees right there, both got rubs on them. Jeez. All right, so here, that's the open low stuff that people can walk through. So that's where, you know, people are going to be walking, hunters. Right here, this is the edge that I was walking that is thicker than all get out. There's a stand right there in that tree. Looks like it's the same manufacturer as the last one that we saw back down in the bottom. And that's his access route as he's coming down that grass and that thick stuff. So always good to know. There's a little bit of buck sign in here. There's a couple little dinked up trees. Nothing like we saw back there when we were by that big buck bed though. Pretty nice ladder stand. Just got unfortunate with this tree blowing over. Not a huge fan of this big low swamp. I definitely can see deer bedding on the little high spots and that stuff, but unless you could pin down exactly what island a big buck was bedding on, I didn't see any particular buck beds where I could determine it was made by a buck. So a lot more woods actually on the other side of these fields. Looks like it was beans, so that's interesting. I can see a rub up here. Another rub. That one's really high up. Jeez Louise. I mean, that's a big buck no matter where you hunt. I'm just walking along the edge of this field. Looks like it had beans, maybe even corn in this. But there's kind of a shelter belt strip of trees that runs down this field. So it's like split right down the middle. There's so much cover. Deer can skirt you every which way. If I was to rate all the spots I've ever found public land in Michigan, this is like number 1, without a doubt. The sign that I've seen here, the only sign I've seen comparable to this is in Ohio or Wisconsin. Gosh. Like, it's like a 5-finger spread. And that's tracks coming both ways. I scouted everything down that way, but down this way, everything back here is I just keep cutting that track and it's driving me crazy. Like, it's huge. There's a crap ton of stuff just stupid thick over there, and I haven't even walked in it. I'm not gonna have time to tonight. All right, like all this standing corn over here, just a huge field of it. You could jump up in a tree and overlook it all. Over here, birch trees, just a sea of white birch trees. Like, how cool it would be to come over here and just see a big rub on one of them. So cool. Oh, there's one right there. Look at this. I just can't get over it. This piece on this side will be an adventure for another day. Feel accomplished. I found one big buck bed. Big old monster buck bed. Hey, we got a trail camera over here too. Somebody's brave enough to put a trail cam up. Oh, there's another rub. Gosh, that thing's stripped. Look at that. You can get rub happy and, oh, I found another one. Jeez. Alright, so I'm gonna walk through here. Gotta get back, check my phone. This is not just an area with a few big bucks. This is big buck central. This is closer to what I find out in Wisconsin, other areas of high deer density and lots of big bucks. It's pretty freaking awesome.